In the bucket of don't do's in a good golf swing, early extension is high on the list. I'm going to help you avoid early extension and help you hit better shots. Let's jump right to it. Let's start with both a visual understanding and also a description on what early extension is, so you can understand and evaluate yourself if this is one of your problems, and then get into the solution. So, any good golf swing starts with the amount of bend or flex in both knees. Any good golf swing also starts with the amount of bend, called hip hinge, at our hip joint. Any good golf swing finishes fully extended both through the lead leg and through the hip. If we asked a question, what would it look like to create the bends that I have at address in my lead leg and my hip? It would look like this. Well, we know no one finishes their golf swing this way. So what is early extension? It's prematurely coming out of the bends, whether it's through the backswing or the downswing, and the problems that it leads to are largely contact related. So if you're hitting poor contact shots, it's likely a result of your early extension. Now, how we identify that is if we filmed a video, let's say from down target line here, and we put a line right on our tailbone. In addition, we put a line on the top of our head, parallel to the ground, and a line on our forehead. Any amount of early extension would oftentimes involve the butt line sucking off this back wall, your forehead pulling away or drifting away from the wall it started on, and oftentimes you breaking through your ceiling. If I give you a really good demonstration of an excessive early extension, there it is right there. Thrust my hips forward, rear my chest back, come off the back wall, break through the top wall, pull away from my forehead wall, and I yield a contact that's really low on the club face. There's my fin. There's a malady of errors. There are other errors that precipitate out of early extension that we want to try and avoid, but just understand if you're hitting thin shots more frequently than otherwise you think you should be, if you're hitting it off the toe of the club more frequently than otherwise think you should be, early extension might be the culprit. And again, now how do you identify it? You film yourself down target line, 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 line. What we should be endeavoring to achieve is your butt line stays back for a long period of time all the way into impact. Your forehead stays on its wall line, and you're actually lower than your ceiling line, that line that we drew at the top of your hat. Okay, so that's what early extension is. Now let's get to how we solve it. Okay, we know what early extension is, we know the problems it solves, but now let's get to the solution. I'm going to give you two options here. It's always nice to have more than one solution to the problem. The first solution is an exercise called tip the tower. We'll need a club box. If it's at all windy outside, you're going to have to weigh the club box down. I've got 10 balls in the base of this club box, so it stands upright. It still may blow over in anything more than a 3-4 mile per hour wind. So this one's good in calm conditions or light winds, or it's great for indoors. The objective in both of these solutions is to help you experience the opposite of your extension, the opposite of your premature straightening. And so, said simply, we move our tailbone up to the box that we have sitting behind us, so there's a point of contact that we start with at address. We make our backswing feeling that same point of contact, and then in the downswing, we want to feel like we're pushing that tower over. And then as you can see right there, my contact was not great, only because I've got a lot of my computer, right, my brain processing, trying to push this back, which ordinarily should maybe be closer to the ground, but there's a coordinative aspect that I'm lost on right there. So give yourself time and be patient as you're working this exercise. So start contact, tip the tower. I cleaned up my contact that time, and if we slowed that one on down, or if you slowed it down back home, you would see my tail pushed back into the box, my chest leaned forward, and therefore I elevated the contact in the center of the face and I hit a flush shot. Now, I love training aids to create the feeling of doing something in a different way, but I don't like dependency on them. So it's not an every rep, and you'll only use this tip the tower exercise or the next one that I'll give you intermittently. So 3 or 4 swings, see yourself successful in tipping the tower, and that's just a rehearsal of tipping the tower pre-swing. It's going to help you start to hit them way more solid. So that's solution number one. Tip the tower, knock that box over in transition. It's going to help you get back into hip hinge, chest forward, tail back, and hit better shots. But if that's not something that's effective for you, we've got option two. Let's get right to it. Why is there sometimes a need for option two? Because sometimes we need a more severe sensation, similar like pain medication. We have our Advils and Tylenols, and then we have our codeine-based medication, something that has a much greater effect. This next drill is called a stinger drill, and it's designed to have much greater effect. So we move from the saddle tipping the tower into this exercise. What does it involve? No training aids other than a golf club and a ball. You're going to take your normal stance, and then you're going to slide both hands down to the bottom of the grip, and then you're going to lift the club above the golf ball the same distance that you just shortened down the club. So that's about 4 inches. So right now my club is hovering some 4 inches above the golf ball. Now the objective is make your normal backswing, and then in the downswing you've got to create a change, and that change is in hip hinge and chest forward flexion, so spine forward flexion this way to net out some level of contact on the ball, just like so. Now I really bladed that one, and the reason I bladed is it's really hard to create that 4 inches of change. Therein lies that severity piece that I was just talking to. It's a very severe medicine designed to give us a greater amount of that sensation. And again, as I discussed in tipping the tower, the closer tipping the tower, we don't need to stay on this for a whole big long period of time. It's 1 or 2 to get the sensation. There we go again. I bladed it right into the stick in front of me. At least I know it started on target line. I've got amount of that sensation that I'm looking for, right? The anti-early extension, and now I'm going to hit a shot. So some amount of the same thing. Tail goes back, chest comes forward like I'm hitting the stinger. And then we got a club that wants to go really good into the ground. So I've got golf ball strike, I've got club arc down into the ground, I've got that ball compression, that elusive ball compression that if you're fighting early extension, you probably don't experience at all or near enough. So there's 2 solutions to your extension to help you start to flush shots more often, just like that.